Hey guys, it's Luke Johnson from the philosophy teaching app Noetic. Go download it for your iPhone, your Droid. If you got one of those Apple Watches, let me know if it works on that. I don't have rich enough friends that own Apple Watches, so I haven't been able to detect the bugs for the Apple Watch yet. Anywho, so I did a ton of driving today. I'm exhausted, and I did a ton of research while I was in the car. I covered some introductory Kierkegaard materials, some interviews on Simone de Beauvoir. But tonight I'm going to talk to you about something that was really intense. On iTunes U and the Reformed Theological Seminary app, which I've told you about before, there's a lecture series hosted by one particular dude named Dr. Ronald H. Nash. Okay? And there are 6 lectures in this lecture series, and I listened to them all. Okay? They're called Soren Kierkegaard, Kierkegaard's 3 Stages of Life, Part 1, Kierkegaard's 3 Stages of Life, Part 2, Kierkegaard and Authentic Religious Beliefs, Kierkegaard and Paradoxes, Kierkegaard's Theory of Humans. Okay, first things first, okay? This is an amazing lecture series. Why is this amazing lecture series? I don't know. This is the first time I've articulated it. You're my diary. Let me see if I can do this. Usually when you encounter lectures on Soren Kierkegaard, they're constrained to like an hour by like one person. And it's very difficult to get the entirety of Kierkegaard's thought in that hour. And what was special about this is that over about 5 hours, Dr. Nash, I think, does a really good job of covering Kierkegaard, like his whole thought system. Now, granted, it's contours, general sketches, but I mean, as far as depth goes and stuff like that, I don't know if I found anything on an app or online yet that goes this deep. So look, that's the major selling point of this. If you're serious about Kierkegaard, you need to consume this lecture series. There's no way around it. But I need to tell you something, okay? There are probably going to be 2 major inhibiting factors for you getting through this, okay? The first is that Dr. Nash is not bashful about including his political opinions in the lecture series on Soren Kierkegaard, and that will alienate and turn off a lot of people. If you can get past that, and I think you ought to, you will get a lot out of this lecture series. Now, the other thing that he does, which is highly controversial, and I want to talk a little bit about why he may do it. This is not a sophisticated theory of why he may do it. Most people who spend this much time talking about Soren Kierkegaard and know him this well are acolytes of Soren Kierkegaard. It's very hard to be invested in the work of Soren Kierkegaard and not be completely 100% enamored. He is just one of those thinkers that if you get into it, like, he's your homeboy. But something that Dr. Nash does is that he places some distance between himself and Soren Kierkegaard. He very frequently talks about him as being psychologically disturbed. He calls him a sick sicko. Upbraids him for all sorts of moral behavior in regards to his romantic relationships and things like that. And, on many occasions claims that, like, he's not the biggest Kierkegaard fan. And I think that might actually be harder for the people that are deeply interested in Kierkegaard to get past than his sort of obnoxious political insertions. That the fact that someone would call Soren Kierkegaard a sick sicko, why would you go on listening to him? And I have to believe that he is doing what Kierkegaard did. I think he really doesn't mean what he says. Soren Kierkegaard, as anyone who's interested in Kierkegaard knows, who's listening to this, engaged in a lot of deception. He tried to misdirect about what he really believed. And so there's kind of like this meta lecture going on there. I think that Dr. Nash is actually taking a lot of cues on the presentation of Soren Kierkegaard's work from Soren Kierkegaard himself. I think he's, in a way, trying to problematize Soren Kierkegaard so people don't get too comfortable and fanboyish about Soren Kierkegaard. And that's what's really wonderful about this lecture series, is that on the one hand, he's imparting a tremendous amount of information, but on the other, he is sort of rattling the cages of those of us who, I don't know, have perhaps become intellectual sycophants of Soren Kierkegaard. I fall into this category. I have a friend who calls me Lukaguard, and I think that was sort of a clarion call to me that I needed to study other people besides Soren Kierkegaard, hence why I made so many different courses on the Noetic app and why I will continue to do so. So, check it out. It's Dr. Ronald Nash, Reformed Theological Seminary on iTunes U or the RTS mobile app. I think it is well worth your time. Just get through all the smoke screens and download the Noetic app and see how what I learned from Nash will affect what I include on the Noetic app. All right. See you guys.